Good morning. We are extremely pleased that you're here. It is good to come together for the purpose of co-creating. Do you agree? Co-creating at its best, yes? You are knowing what you are wanting? You are enjoying how contrast helps you to focus your desire into place? Just so you know, the answers to these next 10 questions is yes. Yes. Well, sometimes it helps to say yes, even when you mean no. But usually it doesn't matter what you say, because it is not your word that equals your point of attraction, is it? Your indicator of what you mean is how you feel. But what really is your reason for your point of attraction is what you are offering vibrationally. You are vibrational beings, you know. Yes. But the way you feel lets you know what your point of attraction is in relationship to what your real point of attraction is. That was a brain twister, yes? Well, what we mean by that is you are more than you know, more than most of you know, more than you see certainly here in these physical bodies. You are longer around than you know, too. You are eternal consciousness, and a part of that wholeness of who you are is expressing through this physical body that you claim to be as you, but it's only a part of you. A larger part of you has been going and blowing for a long time. Sometimes people refer to that part as your soul. Some make reference to God, and that's part of what that is too. We refer to it as your inner being, but we want you to understand that you are much more than you have known, and much more than you have been allowing, you can begin to allow, and when you do, your experience will be even better than it is now. So through the time that we've been visiting with you, through Esther in this format, we've been talking to you in many different ways to help you to understand who you are and how you fit into the bigger picture of all of this. And we began recently saying to you that you are non-physical energy before you came into this body, and a part of that energy came into this body where you're focused out on this leading edge. And in this personality, you're knowing what you don't want and knowing what you do want, coming to all kinds of preferences. And whenever you know what you don't want, what you do want comes into sharper vibrational focus for you. Now we're saying vibrational focus because when you know what you don't want, you launch the opposite rocket of desire. Knowing what you don't want just sharpens your awareness of what you do want. Often you're not focused on what you do want because you're beating the drum and justifying why you want it by pointing out what you don't want. But in that contrasting process, there is an expansion of you, a radiating of energy. We call it rockets of desire. And recently we've been saying to you that every time that happens, that desire, that expanded version of you, goes into what we have been calling a sort of vortex, this swirling vortex, and we like you to see it as a vortex because it has this powerful attraction thing going on. This vortex, which is where who you really are and all that you really want and all that you have become is. And then we've been saying to you, simple to say, a little more complicated to figure out how to do it. Your work is to figure out how to get into that vortex. Your work is to figure out how to become a vibrational match to all of the expansion that life has caused you to provide for yourself. If you've been listening to us for a while, you've been hearing us talking about the art of allowing, that what this business that you are about here is really about, is about figuring out how to allow who you really are, figuring out how to allow the wholeness of who you are. And so you could say that what we were saying to you is you want to figure out how to allow yourself into the vortex or allow yourself to be vibrationally up to speed with this expanded part of you. You can't stop the expansion, but you can stubbornly not become or not maintain a vibrational match to it. When life causes you to expand and you don't go along with it with thoughts that match it, then you feel the discord of that mismatch, which is what negative emotion is. So the better you feel, the more you are staying up to speed with who you have become. That makes sense, doesn't it? So recently, we're talking to you about your vibrational basis. Now, if you've been with us for a while, and some of you have, you remember way back in the beginning, we were explaining it to you in very simple terms. When you want something and believe it, it is. No split energy, right? You want it. You don't doubt it. So you're not splitting it. You want it. You believe it. It is. Well, that means you are in this moment focused upon something that you desire, something that you've been desiring for a while, something that your inner being knows that you desire and is already a vibrational match to. And when you focus upon something that you desire and you offer no discordant vibration, now there's no split in your energy. You're in the vortex, so to speak, and your point of attraction is really, really powerful. This is the thing we're wanting you to understand. When you are not offering discordant energy, so that you are in alignment with who you really are, now your point of attraction is very, very powerful. So today we want to say to you, we want to emphasize, we want you to leave here really, really clear about your point of attraction. We want you to feel how powerful your point of attraction is. Do you get it? You are a vibrational offerer all the time. Yes? And as you are offering this vibration, law of attraction is responding to it. Yes? And that means that whatever you're offering vibrationally is coming back to you in terms of all kinds of things. Thoughts first, manifestations next, the rendezvous that you have, the people, places, things, everything that is coming to you is coming in response to your point of attraction. And just to make it more clear, we are talking about your point of attraction in a sort of visual way that you can imagine. It's like the foundation or the basis of that which you are. It's like a grid. If you were looking at a house that was under construction, you could call it the foundation and the frame. It's that part that's all there. You can essentially see what it's going to look like on the hillside when you look over there. No walls yet. It hasn't filled in with the details. Well, you've got this vibrational grid going on all the time that is the basis of that which is coming. And so as we talk to you today about the grid, we want you to understand that by the grid, what we mean is it's your point of attraction. We want you to know that it means it's how you are feeling. Well, how you're feeling is your indication of what you're doing with the grid. How you're feeling is your indication of what you're doing vibrationally. But that vibrational patterning that you've got going on, that's the basis of your point of attraction. And here's the part that we want you to remember. Hear and remember. And we'll talk about it repeatedly. You won't be able to sit through this day and not have it etched forevermore in your brain. Well, it's not quite that dramatic, but as we talk about it enough, you will leave here with enough of it activated within you that enough evidence will come to you that you will understand it fully within a day or two at most. So this grid is your point of attraction. And this is the thing that we really want you to hear. Once you've established an emotional basis, and that's what the grid is. It's something really general, like, I feel secure. Well, if you feel secure, oh, what a good grid that is. I feel worthy. Worthy is a treacherous word for most of you, but if you feel secure and worthy and loved, if you've got those kinds of things going on in your grid, in your basic point of attraction, then your grid is filling in with all kinds of lovely details that are vibrationally matching those feelings. And that's what we want you to get the sense of. The vibrational grid is your emotional, which means very general, very basic, very source-like, very soul-like. It's your basis of attraction. But your grid is something that you practice all day, every day. You practice it with the things you say. When you point out things going wrong in your life, you're creating a grid that's going to fill in with more things that go wrong. When you feel like someone is cheating you or wronging you, and you focus upon it and get that grid activated, then it fills in with all kinds of evidence of that. And the thing that is so interesting is that you'll observe something unwanted, and as you focus upon it, you create the next grid for the next 17 seconds, which equals the next point of attraction. Some years ago, we were saying to you in those very early days when we were talking to you about if you want it and you believe it, then it is. And we were describing to you as we were wanting you to feel how important what you're thinking and feeling in every moment is. When you get focused upon something unwanted, it's like you're spewing this red inky mist out there. Sort of. And if you just stop talking now, meditate, take a nap, listen to music, do something that stops the spewing, it would dissipate. The wind would blow it away. And your point of attraction would improve immediately. But if you keep spewing it, then it keeps being there. It keeps being your point of attraction. And so that's a good mental image, isn't it? We want you to realize that every 17 seconds, and we don't want you to put a timer on yourself. Esther tried it the other day and it doesn't work well at all. We don't want you to put a timer on yourself, but we want you to be aware of how brief a time it takes to find something that feels good, something really general, and focus upon it just for a little bit to establish a point of attraction that will fill in. So let's say you find a thought that feels good, and choose those that feel good easily. Don't work on this. Don't be valiant. Don't dig into this. Just try to find something light that feels good. And as you find it and focus upon it, just for a little bit, just for a few seconds, in the absence of resistance, the grid will fill in. And what that will mean to you is another easy, good-feeling thought will flow to you. So as you maintain that for another 17 seconds, the more grid filling in. It's not surprising to get a really good phone call after 68 seconds of grid work. In other words, it doesn't take much before manifestations that are noteworthy begin happening. You'll find your flow through life improving immediately as you concentrate with a sort of determination on tending to the only thing that matters and the only thing you can control. Oh, and it's such a big thing. You can control your point of attraction. Don't you think that's something? You can do it if you'll try, and you don't have to try very hard. You just have to know how to go about it in the way that's easier. And the way that's easier is, first, stop trying to fill in your own grid. You'll probably hear people try to do that today because you're used to doing it. Filling in your own grid goes like this. Because I want to be happy, I want to live in that house with that person and have that much money. And as you hear us talking about deliberate creation, you say, but Abraham, you taught us every bit of that. You taught us how to be deliberate. You taught us how to be aware of what we want. And we say, yes, we are encouraging you to think about what you want. But today we're encouraging you to think about your grid. You see, you've done enough sifting through the contrast to put enough in your vortex to keep yourself busy for 20 or 30 lifetimes. And contrast will continue to come to you. You don't need to worry about no longer contributing to your vortex. It's happening all day, every day anyway. We want you, for just a little while, to focus on one thing and one thing only. What am I doing vibrationally? What's my point of attraction? What's my grid? And the next thing we want you to focus upon is, I'm not going to try to fill it in. I'm not going to try to fill it in. Because when you have an idea of something you want or need, and you focus upon it, but it isn't happening yet, so it's the absence of it that you're focusing upon. Now you establish a grid that includes the absence of what you want, rather than the presence of what you want. Do you see how that works? People are doing it all the time. They want more money, so they think about more money, and they think about all the things they want to do with more money, so they create this big old hunkin' grid of the absence of the things that they want, and then they say, I've been doing this work for a long time, Abraham. Why is it not working out well for me? It's exactly what they say. And we say, because you've missed some of the finer points. And the finer points are, you have to be aware of what you're doing with your point of attraction, and it's much easier than all of us have been making it out to be. So you're following?